Besides finding the location of the maximum of a parabola, we may also need to find what are called the zeros of the parabola. And those occur when the parabola touches the x-axis. Now they're called zeros because those would be locations where the y value of the function is 0. So there's an easy formula for it. It involves the constants a, b, and c once again. So for this parabola, a is negative 0.01, b is 37, and c is negative 8,000. To find the zeros, we'll use what is called the quadratic formula. It says x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c divided by 2 times a. Zeros of a quadratic function are the places where the function intercepts the x-axis. Zeros of a quadratic function are the places where the zeros of a quadratic function are the locations where the function intersects the x-axis. A function can have up to 2 zeros if it is a parabola function. So the formula that we'll use for these is a little more complicated than the one for axis of symmetry. The formula is this here, which says that x is going to be negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. The a, b, and c, of course, come from the parabola formula. The a here is going to be negative 0.01, the b is 37, and the c is negative 8,000. Now that parabola is different from the one that's pictured here, of course. Let's go ahead and take a look at the parabola that we're working with. We have it on a previous page. Yeah, here it is. It's the green one. So what we're looking for now is actually these points. These are places where the parabola touches the x-axis. Now, what does that mean in the context of the problem? Well, those would be places where the profit is 0. And this would be a place where the company would break even. This is where revenue equals costs. So the break-even points on this graph, they occur here, and there's one more over here. Now there's 2 ways you can tell that it's a break-even point. One, the profit is 0. And also, the revenue and the costs match at that time. That's how we know that the company has broken even. All right, so we want to find out where that happens. How many items does a company need to sell in order to break even? So let's go back down here. we'll use the quadratic formula to find that. First thing I'll do, I guess I'll do it here, is I'll plug in empty parentheses wherever the variables in the equation would have gone. It's a good technique. Okay, so I removed the B's, the A's, and the C's. I'm going to put in the value of B now, 37. A will be negative 0.01. C is negative 8,000. And A is negative 0.01. Okay, so when we type this into calculator, we're actually going to need to type it in twice. The reason why is there are 2 zeros, and there's going to be 2 answers in this case to the problem. Now, how should you type it in if you're using TI-30 calculator? You can type it in like this. Negative 37 plus square root 37 squared minus 4 times negative 0.01 times negative 8,000. And then if you want, you could get that answer, hit equals. Okay, it tells me negative 4.6117 and so on. Now once you hit equals and it gives you that result, now you can hit the division symbol and it's going to say ANS for answer. And now you need to type parentheses 2 times negative 0.01. And you can close that parenthesis if you want to. You actually don't have to. And then it'll give you one of the answers. Approximately 231 units. Okay, great. So that's one of our answers. Let's go up on the graph and see if that one makes sense. Okay. It looks good. 231 units would be this 0 right here. Now remember, it's an x value. But now we need the other one too. We need this one. That's a much larger number of units. So let's go back. Let's see if we can modify what we had done to get the other answer now. So you want to type in exactly what you typed in before, except we're going to change that plus now do a minus. And we're going to get a new answer here. Okay, this time I get negative 69.388. But I'm just going to keep it in the calculator here. And I'm going to do exactly what I did last time. Divide by parentheses 2 times negative 0.01. Now it tells me 3,469. Okay. So our answers are 231 units or 3,469 units. Let's check out our graph and see if it makes sense. Yeah, I think that number would fit in nicely. Okay, great. We identified the locations of the zeros.